Well, good morning, all you shiny, happy people. 'Tis the Reverend. Who would have thunk it? So, over the last couple of years or so, I've really been trying to lay off of any, or at least most, of the personal stuff that I would normally complain about or say on social media. It's just not who I am anymore. I know I slip. Everybody slips, but I'm really trying to keep my social media presence a little bit more business oriented, book oriented, things like that. And then on my website, I rant and rave and what have you. But today is different, and today I'm reaching out to you. I'm reaching out into the great beyond. I need some of those like Facebook lawyers and YouTube MHMR people and law enforcement people to watch this video and then give me their opinion, because not only am I out of answers, honestly, the police around here are out of answers too. I think a lot of it has to do with because they choose to be, because if not, then that makes them do work. But today I had my first face-to-face interaction with a Dallas PD officer in the 6 years that I've lived here in Dallas. Now, yeah, I'm an Army veteran. I'm a disabled veteran, and I spent like 13 years with the Hunt County Sheriff's Department doing everything. I was like jack of all trades, master of none. So I've worked in law enforcement. I especially worked in the job that this officer was doing today. So let me explain the situation here. I live in a condo complex. Try to imagine this. I live in a condo complex. There's 10 units. 5 of them are upstairs, 5 of them are downstairs. It's gated with a gate code. Half of us are owners, and the other half rent. So we had a neighbor move in about 4 years ago. And for the first couple of years, never heard anything out of him. Over the last couple of years, we have found out that this gentleman, I want to say he's in his mid to late 30s. And I'm not sure if he identifies as a male or a female, because when we do see him come outside, some days he looks more feminine, some days he looks more masculine. And there's nothing wrong with that. Be who you want to be. I get that. I'm a very accepting person. I'm a very accepting person. I'm not a racist person, nothing like that. He's a white guy. Not that that matters, but it seemed to matter to the police today. I'll get to that. He's a schizophrenic. He owns the unit he lives in. His parents, now this is secondhand information here, because I can't get straight answers from anyone. But I guess the downstairs neighbor landlord had been in contact with his family several times when she herself lived in the unit below him. He's schizophrenic. A couple of times a week, he'll come out onto his porch screaming in the middle of the night at no one, screaming about like drug trafficking and pedophiles and all this crazy stuff. And then for the rest of the evening, it sounds like, I don't know what he's doing, but it sounds like he's running full speed, jumping through the air, and smacking against his wall. You have to excuse me. I'm dealing with a little bit of a burp issue. I just ate some Taco Bell. I know, that's my fault. So anyway, that's what it sounds like. And my unit does not touch his unit. Don't you dare laugh at that. I'm trying hard not to. So me and this guy are playing swords. No, it's not like that. His unit does not touch my unit at all. Like, my condo is like 20 feet away from him. The walls do not touch. Whatever it is he's doing, whether he's shooting off a cannon or running full speed into his wall, we can feel the impact tremor in our condo that is 20 feet away from his in the middle of the night. And it wakes us up. So when me and the neighbors first started having the Dallas PD come out here and do wellness checks on him, he began calling the police on us, saying that we were the crazy ones and that we were the ones making all the noise. He has no idea what the police are talking about. Most of the time, the police come up to his door. They speak to him through his Ring doorbell. They don't see him or anything. And then they leave. And then sometimes the police come and they knock on the neighbor's door saying that the guy upstairs called saying that she was being disturbing. The dude is insane. But he's also in control. Because sometimes before he begins to have an episode, he'll open his windows just so we can all hear it better. I think the guy is in a little bit more control than what he pretends to be, but he is incredibly out of control. The one time that I went up to check on him, it was one of those 3 a.m. moments where he had beat on his wall so hard it woke my wife up, and that's just something you don't do in my house. And I went up to check on him. He came to the door, like, completely covered in sweat, screaming at me, saying that I was the one that was causing the disturbance. And I noticed he had something, like, in his belt. And I'm like, is that a gun? And he, like, quickly, like, turned, pulled something out, and stuck it on a table on the other side of his wall where I couldn't see him. He's like, no! So the guy's got a gun. He's schizophrenic. A lot of times when he's having one of these episodes, he'll get in his car and just drive off. To have a schizophrenic episode in the middle of the streets. Like, we have 4 schools within, like, visual distance of where we live. Like, if I stood on the roof, I could see 4 schools, which we're surrounded by school zones. We're in a tourist neighborhood in Bishop Arts. There's people everywhere. And a guy in the middle of a schizophrenic episode can just get in his car and drive around. And it's no big deal. So, time after time after time after time of calling the police and nothing has happened, I decided to go face to face with an officer at the Southwest Station in Dallas to file a report. Now, the one time, and it's only been one time in the 6 years I've lived here, where I kind of had to interact with Dallas PD, it was when somebody was unloading an automatic weapon outside of our window in the street. And when I called Dallas PD, they asked me if I could look outside the window and identify who it was. Are you crazy? So anyway, I got up this morning. I put on my Army Signal Corps shirt just to kind of, first impressions are everything. Just kind of show these officers that I'm not some kind of psychopath that's just ratting on his neighbors. I walked into the Dallas Police Department, Southwest Station. And when the officer looked up from her desk, I basically saw all the kindness flow out of her face. I get it. I'm a bearded, middle-aged white guy. According to the news, I'm the enemy right now and have been for about 10 years. Well, let's be honest. It's been from the beginning. But anyway, I'm the enemy. When I walk around in Dallas, I'm the enemy. I'm the guy who causes problems for other people. I'm not, but at first glance, that's who you think I am. The government's not really doing anything to help us look any better. But anyway, so I went in there and I introduced myself and I explained the situation. And I was basically told that having a mental breakdown is not a crime. I mean, I wasn't basically told that. Those were the words that the officer used. Having a mental breakdown is not a crime. So we can't do anything about that. Um, like, he's made threats toward people here. He drives. Um, then after she put her camera on, because every time I would go to answer a question and she would answer, or she would ask me another question in the middle of my answer, she would accuse me of talking over her, and it was a very, very MAGA way of, like, I see this on the news all the time when somebody's trying to explain something. The Republicans in power right now will be, why are you talking over me? Why are you talking over me? If you're going to continue to talk over me, then I can't answer your question and this meeting is over. And that was basically it. I mean, she was interrupting me. And I never got excited. I never raised my voice. I never did anything. So she put on her camera, and then another officer came downstairs and, like, stood outside the door to keep an eye on me, like I was causing problems or something. And she told me, you'll have to excuse me. I'm the only officer in here to take the report and answer the phones and all that stuff. But 3 different times she turned around and asked somebody behind her the answer to a question. Is she schizophrenic as well? Because you just told me you're in there by yourself and you can't give me your full attention. Who are you asking questions to? Anyway, all of that aside, it is not illegal in the city of Dallas to have a mental breakdown. You can drive, you can threaten your neighbors, just as long as you're officially crazy, it's all right. There's no law against it, according to them. So that's cool. It's good to know. So basically what I said was, look, I'm ex-law enforcement to a point. I'm ex-military. I'm a disabled veteran. I have a wife and a 10-year-old child that live here. And I won't let anyone endanger them. I will do whatever it takes to keep them safe. And I know a few people that anyone could ask to back that up over the last couple of weeks. I will do anything to keep them safe. And I was told then that as an officer, she wouldn't recommend me confronting someone who is in the middle of having a mental health episode. I agree with that. I don't want to. I don't want to confront crazy people at the door. I don't want to whoop a crazy person's ass. But if they would do their job when they're called, I wouldn't be put in that spot. Again, it's either stand up to the bad or just let the bad walk all over you. And that seems to be like how the whole country is thinking right now. But I don't have time to think about those assholes. I'm talking about my little block of peace on this planet. I will do whatever it takes to make sure that my family and my friends and neighbors are safe. Doesn't matter what the police say. If they would show up and do what they're supposed to do, this wouldn't be a problem anyway. So the officer then told me that their mental health department comes out with a mental health person, an officer, and a firefighter. And I told her, I said, ma'am, in the 4 years I've lived there and all the traffic that's come in and out from the law enforcement side of things, not once have I ever seen a circus like that. I've never seen a MHMR person, a police officer, and a fireman in the same place at the same time. And I know it's starting to sound like a joke. A fireman and an MHMR person and a uniformed police officer walk into a crazy person's house. But she called their mental health department while I was standing there. And they didn't even need to look anything up. They knew exactly who I was talking about when she gave the first name. Now, I'm sure there are lots of people in the city of Dallas, a city with well over 1 million people, close to 2. I'm sure there's a lot of people with this first name. How in the hell did they know already who I was talking about? So she came back and said she talked to the MHMR people and that they tried to come back yesterday, but they couldn't get in our secure gate. That also is another lie because every officer, in like the 24 times I've seen officers come into this complex to deal with this gentleman, well, not deal with him, knock on the door and walk away when someone or something talks through his Ring doorbell, they've never had to ask for the gate code. And this gate code has never changed. Never. They've never had to ask for the gate code. They just come right in. Some mornings I wake up when it's still dark and look outside and there's a police car sitting out there knocking on his door or knocking on somebody else's door that he called and filed a fake report saying that they were being the disturbing party. Like it's totally legal according to Dallas PD, according to this officer. It is totally legal for you to have a mental health crisis. That's what they're saying. But what's not as illegal is filing fake police reports and making false calls. That's putting resources in places they don't need to be. Being violent, like toward himself and toward the other people that live here in this complex. Like every cop I've ever known has had to take people to jail for hurting them, not jail, but to mental hospitals for fooling themselves. And the officer told me that they're just not allowed to put somebody in a mental facility. Well, maybe, I don't know about municipal laws because I worked for a county. Maybe they don't. But I know the county that I worked for used to do it daily. So maybe it's a county thing. Maybe I need to try and get the county out here. I don't know. But I took it upon myself to file a report 3 months ago with adult mental health services in Austin at the state level. I have not received a phone call. I have not received an email or a follow-up or anything. So, the officer said that the mental health people tried to come out here yesterday, which is a lie, to check on him, but they didn't have the gate code to get in. So I told them that I would lock that gate open so they couldn't lie about doing their job anymore. So at 5 o'clock, and I'm gonna keep watch. At 5 o'clock, when the normal work day is over, I'm gonna lock that gate back because I know they ain't coming after 5, if they come at all. Anyway, that was my first face-to-face experience with Dallas PD. Also, the officer that she called downstairs to stand outside and make sure I wasn't going to raise hell was making fun of the anti-Trump bumper stickers I have on the back of my truck. And makes a lot of sense now. I mean, we do live in a city. Like the police department's ultimate boss, the mayor here in Dallas, he was reelected as a Republican. Or excuse me, he was reelected as a Democrat and then a week or two later switched to the Republican Party. So if you're poisonous at the top, shit rolls downhill, man. You're poisonous at the bottom. Now, I hope people will come out here and do the right thing. I really will. Or I hope. Because I don't want to have to hurt the guy. Because if he makes a threat towards my family or one of my neighbors, I'm going to have to get in the way. I told them this, too. They don't care. I guess unless he was in their lobby screaming bloody murder, they didn't care. But we're going to see. And this is just the beginning. If you've been watching me long enough, man, you know I'm a pestering son of a bitch. I'll make a damn documentary about this fool. I don't care. But if you're one of those people who has any knowledge of how things work, whether that be in the state of Texas or the city of Dallas or the county of Dallas, I would love to hear back from you. Or even if you work with like state mental health or like a county mental health, or if you're an officer, the laws are pretty much universal in the state of Texas. I would love to hear what you have to say about this. I need to know what my next steps are, because I thought my next step as a citizen would be to inform the police that we're having a safety issue. They ain't give a shit. They ain't give a shit. It's not against the law to have a mental health crisis threaten your neighbors, get in your car, drive around school zones and stuff. So, according to Dallas PD. Anyway, and the officer, lucky for her, she put her camera on because I was being accused of speaking while white and bearded, and so she has it. I wish I would have recorded it. I will next time. I will next time. If we're gonna play the record game, then I will do that. I will do that next time. But this has got to stop. We're just a bunch of people here that are just trying to live, man. Eat, sleep, work, have peace. And this guy, he ain't letting it happen. And Dallas PD are enabling him at this point. Anyway, preach truth, toke joke, shoplift, Amazon. Please, 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 please comment on this video, man. We, as a neighborhood, we need to know what the next steps are. Because our next step isn't working. Y'all have a good day.